We're back, and here's Tony with the all-new Ford Escort GT.
When the world's best-selling car gets a total redesign, it has to be a model worth very close examination. The Ford Escort has been the world's top seller for years now, and the new 1991 model will more than likely continue along the same path. The GT model is the pinnacle of Escort technology, although even entry-level cars offer surprisingly good handling and lots of useful basic features. As a styling job, the car is very much an evolutionary effort. You really have to compare old Escorts with new ones side by side to spot the subtle differences. When the comparison is made, it becomes obvious that the 1991 model is much tidier and sleeker than its predecessor. My GT test car boasted the usual roster of spoilers and air dams that seem to mark performance versions of any range these days. I generally approve of the way Ford has tackled this car, and I liked every styling feature except its off-center nose grille slots. Some people will probably love it, but to me, it adds a discordant touch to overall styling. Our test GT was finished in one of the most beautiful deep blue paint jobs I've ever seen. Although the car looks neat enough, you have to search beneath its body shell to find the real excitement. First of all, there's Ford's first 16-valve twin-cam engine, and it's a very pleasing motor indeed. I don't know why Ford took so long to come up with an engine like this, but it's here, and it's a nice piece of engineering. With 127 horsepower on tap from 1.8 litres, this is a sporty engine that has something of a throaty roar to it at full throttle. Like most 16-valvers, it's happiest at higher revs, but it does have some useful torque at lower engine speeds. Our GT came with a 5-speed manual gearbox that was slick enough to remind me of European performance Fords of a few years back. 100 kilometers per hour should be attainable in about 8.5 seconds, and fuel economy is in the 8.8 litres per 100 kilometer range. Our test car carried a sticker price of $16,431, including air conditioning. As with even the humblest 91 Escort, the GT offers excellent handling with more cornering potential than most people are ever likely to need. Stopping is taken care of with powerful four-wheel disc brakes, another very worthwhile feature. Getting into this car isn't easy because it's equipped with passive restraint seat belts. This arrangement involves a shoulder belt that travels along a door frame track automatically when you close the door. I'm surprised that Ford should adopt this method because, in my opinion, it belongs in the garbage bin of automotive design. Otherwise, the interior is very well executed with properly shaped seats, clear instrumentation, plenty of stowage, and pretty decent build quality. Rear passengers get proper lap and shoulder belts and also small head restraints. The Escort is roomier than you might imagine, and 6-foot-plus drivers will find themselves moving the seat forward to get a good position. With snappy performance from its 16-valve motor and very taut handling, this new Escort should give some flashier sports coupes a run for their money. Chevrolet's Cavalier Z24 is a worthwhile alternative, and there's also the Dodge Shadow ES Turbo. Rivals from across the Pacific include the Mazda Protege, Suzuki Swift GT, Nissan 240SX, Toyota Celica, Acura Integra hatchback, and the new S-Coupe from Hyundai. From Germany, we mustn't forget the outstanding VW GTIs in 8 and 16-valve form. Ted, this has got to be the best Escort yet.
I'm really happy with the improvements they've made on this model. I like the look of it much better than the old one, although we'll get into that in a minute. The price is very competitive, considering what you get, and I just like the way they've done the car. The only complaint that I have is that if you compare this, for example, with the European Ford Escort, it comes off as second rate. It's okay, but I wish they'd make it look exactly like the European one. Then I would have no complaints at all.
Well, of course, for many years it was the same body shell style as the European one. The European one, which has just been announced, is completely different. It's a totally different car. It's not based as the...
I don't know why they do that. I don't mean to interrupt you here, but I don't know why Ford of North America doesn't just take that thing as is and make it here exactly the same. It's a much better car.
Well, my complaint has always been that, particularly early on in the Escort's life in North America, they wouldn't put the GT version on the market here, which was the real sort of leader in prestige and so on. Now they have this car, and thankfully. It's a great car, and I'm glad they're caught up in that respect anyway.
Yeah, and you can really see Mazda's influences on this car. This is a co-production between Mazda and Ford, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
And you can really tell, especially in the interior of the car, the layout is quite good on it. It's not perfect, but it's quite good.
It's very well laid out, and I like the way it handles. And as I mentioned, even the basic car handles very well. And I've compared them one against the other, and I'm surprised how good this car is. In fact, maybe with the MX-6 Mazda and the Ford Probe, they've done a better job than Mazda did with the 323.
And I find it interesting about the pricing structure of this car. Ford are really counting on the Escort series to help them meet the CAFE requirements going into the 90s. They've got to sell a lot of these cars to make up for the gas guzzlers like Lincoln and whatnot, and I find that really interesting.
Well, it is, and they'll sell huge numbers of these. They do sell in very, very large quantities all over North America. They're very popular. The GT seems to be popular too, and generally speaking, there's not that much competition for that.
Pleasant surprise.
Let's sum up here. What we didn't like, only one thing really, those dreadful passive restraint seat belts. On the plus side, a very excellent engine, first-rate engine, and handling that truly surprised us. The driving dollar value, I give this 7/8 of a tank, a very, very good car.
Stay with us.